So a rabbi, a priest, and a homosexual walk into a bar. Okay, now, I'm going to tell you a story about the DMV. Dumbasses moving very slowly. We've all been there, all done that, know exactly what the DMV is. You know, so much dread comes across you when you know you have to go to the DMV to get your new license or get your license renewed or get a license plate or whatever. But anyway, so I was thinking, there should be like jokes for the DMV like there are for walking into a bar. But anyway, so I have to go to the DMV recently. It's the usual experience. For me here in Atlanta, there's a window there with a lady behind it, half asleep. There's a guard next to her before you go into the main room. He's half asleep, and he's eyeing you suspiciously, even though I'm just a regular dude. He could tell right off that I'm a regular dude. So I get my ticket. Oh, no, actually, before I get my ticket, I kind of want to take a peek into the room to see how packed it is. Maybe I'll come back later. Well, I've hit an off hour, so I'm not expecting there to be much. But anyway, the place is packed. 60, 70 people, standing room only. The dumbasses behind the windows moving slowly because they know they've got secure jobs no matter how ignorant and rude and slow they are. DMV. So as I'm peeking into the room, the guard says in a surly voice, "Sir, you have to step back. You can't go into the room without a ticket." And I just kind of look at him like, I'm just peeking. What? So this is your most important job you've ever had in your life, and you're gonna play dictator over this guy? So I'm just like, wow, thanks for enhancing my DMV experience. And so I just ignore him and keep looking to see how many people are actually standing. And he says again, "Sir, I need you to back away and get your ticket before you go into the room. You have to have your ticket before you go in the room." So I look at him and I go, I know I have to have a ticket before I go in the room. What do you think I am, an idiot? Guy's got a gun on his side and everything else. So maybe that's not smart. But I'm just like, what the hell? I mean, really, it's already a messed up, dreadful experience walking in to a place that the government shouldn't even be operating, and knowing that I got to put up with this stuff and sit around and, smell some of these people who are in there. So anyway, so he just looks at me and I'm like, I just said to myself, I'm out of here. I'll come back at another time. And I did. And thankfully it wasn't as busy. But, why is the government running the DMV? Why is there a DMV? Why does the government get to tell you and me? Do we have to have licenses to drive our cars? License plates for our cars? We have to have a number ascribed to us so that when we're driving down the street, a cop pulls up behind us on his little computer. He can figure out who we are, where we live, and whether we have insurance on our car. The government can tell us that we have to have insurance on our car. I mean, are you guys fed up with this as much as I am? Why does the government even have control over our roads in this country? I mean, look what they do to them. I mean, the roads are horrible. They look bad. They got potholes. They don't care when, closing off lanes of traffic and making us wait an hour or two. I just went to Charlotte for a party, Charlotte, South Carolina. I live in the Atlanta area. I went to Charlotte, South Carolina for a party several weeks back, and they got one of the lanes closed off. So here I am thinking a 2-hour drive is going to be a 2-hour drive. Well, silly me. I look on Google. It looks like a 2-hour drive. Evidently, they started the one lane shutdown after I checked, and they did. So I got a 2-hour drive turns into almost a 3-hour drive. So I'm texting the party people, letting them know I'm going to be late because the government has control over roads. If a private road owner did that kind of thing, people would just use an alternate road, because in a private road system, there would be several roads for me to go from Atlanta to South Carolina. Or they would have it set up to where they did the freaking construction in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, which occasionally happens with the government if people just raise hell over it. But This whole thing with the government owning roads, the same thing with the postal. What I'm going to get around to is, why do we put our trust in politicians, and why do we give them power over our lives and control over things they shouldn't have control over? Obviously, the mail, the post office. You know, it's in the Constitution, unfortunately. It's got to be taken out. But, I mean, that's a joke too. We all know going into a post office is not like going into a UPS or a FedEx, where you get good service, efficient service, and there are hardly ever any lines. FedEx is the best. UPS sometimes a little bit iffy, but they're a lot better than the UPS. Now, than the USPS. The post office drivers actually are pretty decent. I mean, they actually are efficient, fast, almost always nice. Mine, her name is Marie. She's fantastic. She even takes the mail up to my elderly neighbor's mailbox by her house instead of putting it in the one by the street. I mean, she's just amazing. Friendly. She and I talk about our pets. But the post office itself loses, about $5 billion a year. We pay for that because it's so inefficient. It doesn't have to be efficient because it's government operated. Why? I mean, why can't UPS, FedEx, other companies be delivering our mail now? I mean, what little mail we get, I don't get any mail that I want anymore. All my stuff is online. I mean, I don't even know how they survive at all. Well, of course, it takes that $5 billion, right? But it's just ludicrous that the government is still in charge of paper delivery. I mean, so that should be privatized. Get the government out of that. Costs us a lot of money. And get the government out of virtually everything else. 99% of this other stuff that the government is involved in. Medicare, get the government out. It's already cost our medical costs to go up 5 to 10 times over the last 40 years. That's right. Hospital visits, emergency visits, it should not cost you $5,000 or a copay of $1,000 or whatever it is to go to the hospital. It should be like it used to be 60 years ago. It cost you maybe a day's work pay, like $50, $100 or whatever to go in there. That's the way it used to be. There used to be house visits by doctors. The government did not used to be involved in medical care. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Get the government completely out. I mean, Obamacare is a travesty, but that's just the end of the travesties. These have been going on for a long time. The government tells you and me that it's trying to protect us. Prescription medicine. Why can't I go down and get anything I want at a pharmacy? I mean, anything. I mean, if I want to take opiates, I don't. But if I do, it's my body, it's my business. Whatever. I shouldn't have to get a freaking prescription from a doctor to get what I want. And if I happen to get a cancer that's really nasty, I want to take the most advanced experimental drugs possibly. And I don't want the government telling me, no, you can't do that because it's too dangerous. I'm going to die. Maybe. I'm going to take what I want. Get the hell out of my business. I've got so much sympathy for these thousands or tens of thousands of people who can't take these experimental drugs. I mean, to potentially save their lives. There's a new experimental thing on waves that can kill the cancer cells in people's brains. Well, you know what? People can't do it. Why? Because the EPA, FDA, whatever, hasn't approved it yet. So while you're dying and after you're dead, we might approve it. No, that's not the government's job to determine what's safe or healthy for us. I should be able to go down and get anything I want, and so should you. Now, you might be thinking, this thing in people's heads, a lot of your heads, frankly, is, well, a lot of people are irresponsible and stupid. Well, so why should that impinge on you and me? A lot of people are irresponsible and stupid about how they handle their money. So if the government didn't intervene, and it shouldn't, they wouldn't have a house, they wouldn't have a car, they probably wouldn't have food. And then you might be saying, well, what about the children? Well, take the children away. I mean, seriously, people shouldn't be having children unless they can take care of their children, right? Right. That's a rhetorical question. They shouldn't have children if they can't take care of their children. And where are all these people's friends and family? You know, if they get down and out, why don't they go to their friends and family? Instead of insisting that you and I, the government, via you and I, take care of all of their stuff. The government needs to get out of all this. It should not tell us what we can and can't do with our own houses. I should not have to get a permit to add a room to my house or a garage, extra garage space, or whatever to my house. No, the government does not permit us to do with our rights as we wish to do. If I build a room that falls in on me or my daughter, that's my fault. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get a professional because I'm not stupid. Some people are stupid, yes. But stupidity does not mean that the government can intervene with our rights, our individual rights to run our own lives. I do not want to go to the DMV anymore. Get the government out of the roads, get the cops out of knowing who I am and who you are. And you say, well, some people are going to drive irresponsibly and, you know, and they already do. They got a license. Some people drive drunk, unfortunately. Some people drive on opiates, unfortunately. That's what they do. Well, when they do that, then get the government to take them off the roads, put them in jail, put them in prison, whatever. Make it really harsh. That's what we should do. That will stop a lot of people from being stupid. It will actually save more lives to get the government out of the road industry and the car industry and the house industry and the medical industry. Thousands, tens of thousands more people would be alive right now if the government got out of all of these areas of our lives. And how do we do that? You and I get together. I mean, you agree with me. Agree with me on this. Let's be totally free. Free to do with our stuff as we please. And then the people who F up, government takes them out. Takes them out of our lives. And the people know that if they do, that's what's going to happen. So let's get together and promote individual rights to our lives, to have what we want, and be responsible with what we want. And that'll save a lot of money, save a lot of lives, and we'll have a right to run our own lives, which we already have, but it'll at least be honored. See you next time.